Hey, future Stoics! Welcome back to the channel where we turn ancient wisdom into modern power moves. Today we're diving into something huge, the 7 telltale signs that your life is about to transform in ways you can't even imagine yet. Look, I get it. Life can feel like an endless uphill battle sometimes. You're grinding away, doing all the right things, but still wondering when your big breakthrough moment is coming. Well, what if I told you that transformation isn't just some random event? It leaves clues. The ancient Stoics knew this thousands of years ago. Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, Epictetus, these philosophical powerhouses understood that life-changing moments don't just appear out of nowhere. They follow patterns. They send signals, and once you know what to look for, you can spot them coming from miles away. In this video, I'm going to walk you through the 7 unmistakable signs that your life is on the verge of explosive growth. We'll explore how these signs manifest, why they matter according to Stoic wisdom, and exactly what to do when you recognize them in your own life. This isn't just philosophical theory. This is practical wisdom you can apply today to accelerate your transformation. Whether you're struggling with your career, relationships, personal growth, or just feeling stuck in a rut, these signs will be your compass pointing toward your next level. So grab a notebook, silence those notifications, and get ready to transform. Because by the end of this video, you'll have the Stoic blueprint for not just recognizing opportunity, but seizing it with both hands when it appears. Your future self is going to thank you for watching this right now. Are you ready? Let's dive into sign number 1. Sign 1. You're experiencing increased resistance. When massive change is on the horizon, the universe doesn't just roll out the red carpet. It tests you first. If you've been feeling like everything is suddenly harder, like you're pushing against an invisible force that's determined to stop you, congratulations. This is actually the first major sign that breakthrough is imminent. The ancient Stoics had a saying that perfectly captures this phenomenon. The obstacle is the way. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." This isn't just pretty philosophy, it's a universal principle. When you're about to level up in life, resistance intensifies. It's like the final boss in a video game appearing right before you advance to the next level. Look at your life right now. Where are you experiencing unusual friction? Maybe your job suddenly feels more challenging. Perhaps your relationships are going through unexpected tests, or your daily habits and routines seem harder to maintain than ever before. This isn't random. This is the universe asking you a crucial question. How badly do you want this transformation? The mistake most people make is interpreting this resistance as a sign to retreat. They think, this is too hard. Maybe this isn't my path after all. Wrong! The Stoics would see this differently. Seneca wrote, "Difficulties strengthen the mind, as labor does the body." This resistance isn't meant to stop you, it's meant to prepare you for the next phase of your journey. When resistance appears, it's revealing exactly where you need to grow. It's highlighting the muscles that need strengthening before your breakthrough can arrive. Think about it. If your transformation came without any preparation, would you even be ready to handle it? Probably not. This resistance is actually a gift. It's custom-designed preparation. What's more, this increased resistance often appears in areas where you've gotten too comfortable. The Stoics knew that comfort is the enemy of growth. Epictetus taught his students, "It is difficulties that show what men are." These sudden challenges are waking you up from autopilot, forcing you to become more conscious and intentional about your choices. The key action step here is to lean in to the resistance. Document exactly where you're feeling it most intensely. What areas of your life suddenly feel like you're pushing a boulder uphill? Instead of avoiding these challenges, make them your primary focus. The Stoics practiced voluntary discomfort for this exact reason. They knew that embracing difficulty builds the character necessary for transformation. Remember also that resistance creates resilience. Every obstacle you overcome now is building the mental and emotional strength you'll need for your coming transformation. Just as a muscle must be broken down through resistance training before it can grow stronger, your life is undergoing necessary stress before expansion. So if you're experiencing unprecedented challenges right now, don't despair. This isn't a sign to give up. It's the first major indicator that significant change is on the horizon. As Marcus Aurelius would remind us, the art of living is more like wrestling than dancing. Embrace the match, because victory is closer than you think. Sign 2. Your dissatisfaction is reaching a breaking point. That persistent, growing dissatisfaction you're feeling. It's not depression, it's evolution knocking on your door. When you find yourself increasingly unable to tolerate situations you've put up with for years, that's not a breakdown, it's a breakthrough beginning to form. The Stoics understood that profound dissatisfaction often precedes profound transformation. Epictetus, who was born a slave and later became one of history's greatest philosophers, wrote, "It is impossible for a man to learn what he thinks he already knows." This is the hidden gift of dissatisfaction. It shatters the comfortable illusions that have kept you trapped in mediocrity. When you can no longer pretend that your current situation is acceptable, you've reached a crucial tipping point in your personal evolution. Look at the areas of your life where your tolerance is rapidly diminishing. Maybe it's that job you've been settling for, relationships that drain rather than fulfill you, or living situations that no longer align with who you're becoming. This growing dissatisfaction isn't random. It's your inner wisdom finally screaming loudly enough that you can't ignore it anymore. Your higher self is rejecting what no longer serves your growth. The Stoics had a concept called negative visualization, where they would imagine losing what they valued to appreciate it more fully. But what's happening to you now is the reverse. You're naturally engaging in negative realization, where you're finally seeing clearly how certain aspects of your life are holding you back. This clarity is uncomfortable, but it's essential for transformation. This dissatisfaction serves a crucial purpose in the mechanics of change. Seneca wrote, "If you don't know to which port you're sailing, no wind is favorable." Your growing discomfort is actually clarifying exactly what you don't want, which is the first step toward getting clear on what you do want. This contrast is creating the energy and motivation necessary for massive change. Where most people go wrong is trying to suppress this dissatisfaction. They medicate it away with distractions, substances, or busyness. The Stoic approach would be radically different: to sit with this dissatisfaction, to examine it closely, and to extract its wisdom. As Marcus Aurelius advised, look within. Within is the fountain of good, and it will ever bubble up if you will ever dig. The action step here is to journal extensively about your dissatisfaction. Don't just vent, analyze. What specifically is becoming intolerable? When did this feeling begin to intensify? What would need to change for you to feel aligned again? This isn't complaining. It's creating a detailed map of exactly what needs transformation in your life. Remember also that this breaking point of dissatisfaction is actually a sign of growth in your standards and self-worth. The Stoics believed in living in accordance with nature and virtue. Your increasing inability to tolerate situations that violate your deeper values is actually your virtue asserting itself. You're not becoming more negative, you're becoming more authentic. So welcome this dissatisfaction as the second powerful sign that your life is preparing for massive change. As Seneca wrote, "Every new beginning comes from some other beginning's end." Your willingness to acknowledge what's no longer working is creating the necessary space for what will truly fulfill you to enter your life. Sign 3. Synchronicities and patterns are appearing everywhere, suddenly seeing repeated numbers, running into the same concept across different sources, meeting people who seem strangely connected to your deepest interests. These aren't coincidences. They're cosmic signposts pointing toward your transformation. The Stoics might not have used the term synchronicity, but they absolutely understood the interconnected nature of the universe. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "All things are implicated with one another, and the bond is holy." This profound insight recognizes that seemingly random events often contain hidden patterns and messages for those paying attention. When your life is about to transform, these patterns intensify. It's as if the universe is sending you increasingly obvious signals because your next level is approaching rapidly. Pay attention to recurring themes in conversations, books, social media, or even advertisements that seem to be speaking directly to you. Perhaps you've been thinking about a career change and suddenly everyone you meet works in that industry. Or you've been considering a move and multiple people independently mention the exact location you've been contemplating. These aren't random. They're confirmation that your intuition is aligned with greater forces. The Stoics believed in a rational universe governed by logos, divine reason. While they didn't believe in coincidence in the way we might think of it today, they absolutely recognized that events conspire in meaningful ways. Epictetus taught that everything has two handles, suggesting that how we interpret these patterns matters tremendously. When you begin seeing these synchronicities as meaningful, guidance rather than random occurrences, their power in your life multiplies. What's fascinating about these synchronicities is that they often appear in clusters right before major life shifts. It's as if the universe is creating a breadcrumb trail leading you toward your next evolution. The more you acknowledge these patterns, the more pronounced they become, creating a feedback loop of awareness that accelerates your transformation. The mistake many people make is dismissing these signs as mere coincidence. The Stoic approach would be to remain open to the messages contained within these patterns while maintaining rational discernment. As Seneca advised, the wise man looks into the future and considers both possibilities and difficulties. These synchronicities are inviting you to consider new possibilities you might have otherwise overlooked. Your action step here is to start documenting these patterns. Create a synchronicity journal where you record repeated numbers, meaningful coincidences, and unexpected connections. Look for the message or guidance contained within these patterns. What direction do they seem to be pointing you toward? What aspects of your life do they repeatedly highlight? These synchronicities also serve as confirmation that you're becoming more conscious and aware. The patterns were likely always there, but your growing consciousness is allowing you to perceive them now. This increased awareness is itself a sign of impending transformation. You're developing the expanded perception necessary for your next level of growth. So when you notice these meaningful coincidences multiplying in your life, celebrate. As the Stoic philosopher Chrysippus might have suggested, these are the visible threads of fate becoming apparent to your conscious mind. Your job isn't to force these patterns to make sense immediately, but to remain receptive to their guidance as your transformation unfolds. Sign 4. Your circle is shifting dramatically. Notice people dropping out of your life while new connections are forming unexpectedly. This isn't random social flux. It's a fundamental realignment, preparing you for what's coming. The Stoics understood that our social circles profoundly influence our development, and significant life transformation almost always involves a parallel transformation in who surrounds us. Seneca wrote, "Associate with people who are likely to improve you." He understood that we become like those we spend time with. When your life is preparing for massive positive change, you'll often find that certain relationships naturally begin to distance or dissolve, particularly those connections that are aligned with your old self rather than who you're becoming. Look at your social circle right now. Are you experiencing unusual tension with long-term friends, finding yourself naturally drawn to new types of people, feeling suddenly different around those you've known for years? These shifts aren't arbitrary. They're your evolving consciousness naturally gravitating toward relationships that support your growth while releasing those that limit it. The Stoics believed in the concept of oikeiosis, a natural process of self-development and identification with what truly matters. As you undergo this process, your values clarify and strengthen, which naturally affects who feels aligned with your energy. People who are vibrating at fundamentally different frequencies will find it increasingly difficult to maintain deep connection with you. What's particularly noteworthy is that these relationship shifts often happen without deliberate action on your part. You're not necessarily deciding to end friendships, rather, natural energetic boundaries are forming. Conversations that once flowed easily might now feel strained. Activities you once enjoyed together might feel suddenly empty or meaningless. This natural distancing is making space for new connections that align with your emerging self. The common mistake here is resisting these natural shifts out of guilt or nostalgia. The Stoic perspective would emphasize accepting this evolution with equanimity. As Marcus Aurelius advised, accept the things to which fate binds you, and love the people with whom fate brings you together, but do so with all your heart. Some relationships are meant for a season, not a lifetime. Your action step is to consciously evaluate your social circle. Who energizes you versus depletes you? Who challenges you to grow versus keeps you comfortable in old patterns? Without judgment or blame, begin to consciously invest more in relationships that reflect where you're going rather than where you've been. This isn't selfish, it's necessary evolution. Also pay special attention to new people entering your life, especially those who seem to appear randomly yet feel strangely familiar. The Stoics believed in natural affinity between like minds. These new connections often serve as bridges to your next phase of life, bringing exactly the perspectives, opportunities, or support you'll need for your coming transformation. Remember that this social shifting isn't about abandoning people, it's about honoring natural evolution. As Epictetus taught, make the best use of what is in your power and take the rest as it happens. Your changing social dynamics are a powerful confirmation that you're no longer the person you once were, and your external reality is beginning to reflect your internal transformation. Sign 5. You're drawn to new knowledge and perspectives. Suddenly find yourself consuming books, podcasts, or courses on topics you never cared about before. Feel an unexplainable urge to learn new skills or explore different philosophies. This intellectual hunger isn't random curiosity, it's your mind actively preparing for your imminent transformation. The Stoics recognized that significant growth requires expanding our mental frameworks first. Epictetus declared, "It is impossible for a man to learn what he thinks he already knows." When your life is on the verge of positive change, you'll often experience an almost urgent desire to absorb new information and perspectives. Your mind instinctively knows it needs new tools and frameworks to navigate the next chapter of your journey. Notice what topics are suddenly capturing your attention. Perhaps you've never been interested in psychology before, but now can't stop reading about it. Or maybe financial concepts that once bored you are suddenly fascinating. Pay attention to these shifts. They're not random. Your intuition is guiding you toward precisely the knowledge you'll need for what's coming next in your life. The Stoics believed in the concept of catalepsis, clear perception and comprehension that leads to wisdom. This new hunger for knowledge is actually your mind seeking the catalepsis necessary for your evolution. You're being drawn to exactly the information that will help you perceive your life and possibilities more clearly as you transform. What's particularly significant about this intellectual expansion is that it often precedes conscious awareness of where you're headed. You might not yet know why you're suddenly obsessed with learning about entrepreneurship or spiritual traditions, but your deeper wisdom is already preparing you for opportunities that haven't yet manifested in your external reality. Many people make the mistake of ignoring these new intellectual urges because they don't fit their self-image or established patterns. The Stoic approach would be to follow this natural curiosity with openness. As Marcus Aurelius advised, never let the future disturb you. You will meet it, if you have to, with the same weapons of reason which today arm you against the present. Your growing knowledge base is precisely arming you for that future. Your action step here is to fully embrace and strategically direct this intellectual expansion. Create a learning plan around the topics that are naturally drawing your interest. Don't try to force yourself to study what you think you should learn. Follow what energizes and excites you now. This natural enthusiasm is your internal compass pointing toward your next evolution. Also pay attention to how this new knowledge is changing your perspective on your current situation. Are you starting to see possibilities where you once saw limitations? Questioning assumptions you previously took for granted? These shifts in perspective are crucial preparation for transformation. They're creating the cognitive flexibility needed to step into new experiences. The Stoics viewed knowledge not as an end in itself, but as a pathway to virtuous living. This sudden thirst for learning isn't just about accumulating information. It's about expanding your capacity to live with greater wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance. Your intellectual growth is creating the foundation for the person you're becoming in every aspect of life. Sign 6. Your intuition is becoming undeniable, that persistent inner voice that won't stay quiet anymore, those gut feelings getting stronger by the day. That's not anxiety, it's your intuitive wisdom reaching unprecedented levels of clarity. The Stoics understood that beyond rational thought lies a deeper knowing that becomes especially potent during times of transformation. While the Stoics emphasized rational thinking, even Marcus Aurelius acknowledged the power of inner guidance. Look within. Within is the fountain of good, and it will ever bubble up if you will ever dig. When your life is about to transform dramatically, this fountain bubbles up with such force that it becomes impossible to ignore. Your intuition practically demands your attention. You might notice this as persistent thoughts about a particular direction or change, dreams with recurring themes, or physical sensations that arise when you consider certain options. Perhaps you feel an inexplicable pull toward a specific path, or a clear aversion away from situations that logically seem fine. These intuitive hits are becoming more frequent and more precise, like your internal GPS recalibrating to guide you toward your highest path. The Stoics believed in living according to nature, which included aligning with one's own true nature. Epictetus taught, "First learn the meaning of what you say, and then speak." Your strengthening intuition is helping you understand your own deepest truth more clearly, so that your next moves can come from authentic alignment rather than external pressure or conditioned responses. What's particularly significant about this intuitive amplification is that it often speaks in contradiction to conventional wisdom or logical analysis. You might find yourself drawn toward choices that don't make sense on paper but feel undeniably right. Or you might feel resistance toward options that seem perfect logically but somehow feel wrong. This tension between head and gut is a classic sign of impending transformation. The mistake many make is dismissing these intuitive signals because they can't be rationally justified. The Stoic perspective would balance rational analysis with respect for this deeper knowing. As Seneca wrote, "The primary indication to my thinking of a well-ordered mind is a man's ability to remain in one place and linger in his own company." This lingering with yourself, truly listening to your inner voice, is essential during times of transformation. Your action step here is to create dedicated space for intuitive listening. Develop a daily practice of quiet reflection where you can hear your inner guidance without distraction. Journal about the intuitive nudges you're receiving. Ask specific questions and notice what arises. This isn't mystical thinking, it's accessing the accumulated wisdom of your subconscious mind. Pay special attention to intuitive guidance that has been consistent over time. One-off thoughts might be random, but messages that keep returning in different forms deserve your full attention. The Stoics practiced premeditatio malorum, anticipating difficulties, but your strengthening intuition is offering something even more valuable. Premeditatio transformationis, anticipation of your transformation. Remember that this intuitive clarity is actually a sign of increasing inner alignment. As Marcus Aurelius advised, your mind will take the shape of what you frequently hold in thought. Your thoughts and your deeper knowing are converging, creating the internal harmony necessary for massive external change. Trust this process. Your intuition is becoming louder because your transformation is becoming closer. Sign 7. You're experiencing unusual energy fluctuation, finding yourself unexplainably exhausted one day and buzzing with energy the next. Sleeping patterns shifting dramatically, appetite changing. These aren't random biological glitches. They're energetic recalibrations preparing your physical vessel for transformation. While the ancient Stoics didn't use terms like energy work, they absolutely understood the intimate connection between physical states and life transitions. Seneca observed, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a by or lot of it." When transformation is imminent, your relationship with energy itself begins to shift. You become more sensitive to how you're using your life force, and your body starts redirecting energy toward what truly matters for your evolution. Pay attention to when you feel suddenly depleted versus unusually energized. Which activities, environments, or people seem to affect your energy most dramatically now? These fluctuations aren't random. They're providing crucial feedback about what will support or hinder your coming transformation. Your energy system is becoming more discerning about where to invest your precious life force. The Stoics practiced techniques like voluntary discomfort to strengthen their resilience. These natural energy fluctuations are serving a similar purpose. They're strengthening your energetic resilience in preparation for change. The fatigue you experience is often clearing space, removing energetic patterns that no longer serve you. The surges of energy are glimpses of your new baseline that's establishing itself. What's particularly significant is that these energy shifts often precede conscious awareness of change. Your body inherently knows what's coming before your mind fully grasps it. You might find yourself unable to maintain habits or schedules that once worked perfectly, or suddenly capable of activities that previously seemed impossible. These shifts are practical preparation for your new way of being. Many people mistake these energy fluctuations for problems to be fixed rather than transitions to be supported. The Stoic perspective would emphasize working with these natural cycles rather than fighting them. As Marcus Aurelius advised, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Your power lies in how you respond to these energy shifts. Your action step is to create an energy management practice that honors these fluctuations. Rather than forcing yourself to maintain consistent energy, which isn't possible during transformation, develop flexibility in your schedule and expectations. Document your energy patterns to identify emerging trends. Schedule demanding activities during your natural high-energy windows. Also pay attention to surprising new sources of energy. Perhaps activities that once drained you now energize you, or vice versa. These shifts are revealing important information about your changing nature. The Stoics believed in living in accordance with one's nature, and your evolving energy patterns are showing you exactly what your new nature requires. Remember that these energy fluctuations are temporary. They're part of the recalibration process, not your new permanent state. As Epictetus taught, make the best use of what is in your power and take the rest as it happens. By working with these energy shifts rather than resisting them, you're actively participating in your own transformation process at the most fundamental level. Wow, we've covered a lot of ground today. These 7 signs, increasing resistance, growing dissatisfaction, synchronicities appearing, shifting social circles, hunger for new knowledge, strengthening intuition, and energy fluctuations, aren't just random experiences. They form a powerful pattern that the ancient Stoics would recognize as the precursors to profound transformation. Here's what's crucial to understand. When several of these signs appear simultaneously in your life, it's not a coincidence. It's confirmation that you're on the threshold of something extraordinary. The universe doesn't shout. It speaks through patterns, and right now it's trying to tell you something important about your journey. The Stoics understood that life moves in cycles of challenge and growth. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The universe is change. Our life is what our thoughts make it." Your awareness of these signs is already accelerating your transformation because you're consciously participating in the process rather than just being swept along by it. So what's your next move? First, take inventory. Which of these 7 signs are showing up most prominently in your life right now? Once you identify them, lean in rather than pull back. Remember that resistance precedes breakthrough, discomfort precedes growth, and confusion often precedes clarity. This is not the time to retreat. It's the time to advance with even greater commitment. Second, create daily practices that support your transformation. Journal about these signs as they appear. Meditate to strengthen your connection to intuitive guidance. Surround yourself with people who believe in your evolution. Study the wisdom that naturally calls to you. These simple disciplines will dramatically accelerate your positive transformation. The Stoics would remind us that external circumstances don't determine our growth, our responses do. As Epictetus taught, it's not what happens to you but how you react to it that matters. Euche Now have the awareness to react to these signs with purposeful action rather than confusion or resistance. I want to hear from you in the comments. Which of these 7 signs resonated most deeply? What transformation do you sense is coming in your life? Share your experiences and let's create a community of people supporting each other through these powerful transitions. Remember, these signs aren't just philosophical concepts, they're practical guidance appearing in your everyday life. The ancient Stoics would be the first to tell you, philosophy isn't just for contemplation, it's for living. Now go live your transformation with courage, wisdom, and purpose. If you found value in this video, smash that like button, subscribe for more Stoic wisdom translated for modern life, and hit the notification bell to join our community of modern Stoics creating extraordinary lives. Until next time, memento vivere, remember to live.